Eala just rolled into the Australian Open with Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner like it's the most casual thing in the world. Not with some random practice partners or her coaching team, but with two of the three biggest names in men's tennis right now. And tennis fans everywhere are losing their minds trying to figure out what this actually means. Do you think training with elite players like Alcaraz and Sinner will push Eala into the top 30 rankings this year? Or is this just good optics? Drop your predictions below. Let's be clear about something right from the start. When you show up to a Grand Slam tournament walking alongside Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, you're not just another player hoping to get noticed. You're someone these guys actually respect enough to train with, travel with, and be seen with publicly. That doesn't happen by accident. That's something you earn through your game and your work ethic. Photos and videos started circulating on social media showing Eala arriving at the Australian Open with Alcaraz and Sinner, and tennis Twitter immediately exploded. People started asking all the obvious questions. How did this happen? When did Eala become close enough with two of the biggest stars in tennis to show up to Melbourne together? What does this say about where her career is heading? And most importantly, are we witnessing the beginning of something huge?
The first time I met Rafa, I was on the way to his academy. Oh my gosh, I was on the way to his academy because I was gonna try it out before we committed. I was just gonna try it out for a week, and then we ran into him in the airport, in the Madrid airport, and it's kind of embarrassing to say, we kind of ran after him. Like, not ran after, but we were fanning, fangirling, and then we told him, oh, we're going to your academy and stuff like that.
Here's what you need to understand about the context. Eala trains at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain.
I would think this is a place for someone to learn new things and someone to be exposed to professionalism in tennis, to learn how to be disciplined and to learn how to socialize as well.
That's not just some random tennis facility. That's where elite players go to develop their games under world-class coaching and infrastructure. The academy doesn't take just anyone. You have to be talented enough and serious enough for them to invest their resources in you. Carlos Alcaraz has connections to Spanish tennis through his own training background, and he's been known to work at various elite facilities in Spain during his preparation periods. Jannik Sinner, meanwhile, trains at different locations around Europe depending on his schedule, and he's often looking for high-quality practice partners to keep his game sharp. The fact that Eala is in the same training circles as these megastars tells you everything about how seriously the tennis world is taking her potential. You don't get invited into practice sessions with Grand Slam champions unless the coaches running those sessions believe you belong there. You don't get to hit with Carlos Alcaraz, a guy who's won multiple majors and reached world #1, unless he thinks you can actually help him prepare and push him during training. This isn't charity work. This is professional tennis at the highest level, where time is valuable and every practice session matters. So where exactly is Eala in her career right now? Because the timing of this Australian Open appearance alongside Alcaraz and Sinner is absolutely perfect for her trajectory. She just broke into the top 50 of the WTA rankings for the first time in her career after reaching the semifinals at the ASB Classic in Auckland. That's a massive milestone for any player, but it's especially huge for someone from the Philippines, where tennis doesn't have the same infrastructure and support system as countries like Spain or the United States. Eala's rise has been nothing short of explosive. This time last year, she was ranked around 138 in the world and playing ITF events, which is basically the minor leagues of professional tennis. Now she's guaranteed a main draw spot at the Australian Open and casually hanging with the sport's biggest names. That's not gradual improvement, that's a rocket ship trajectory. Her breakthrough moment came at the Miami Open last year when she reached the semifinals and beat Iga Świątek along the way. Let that sink in for a second. She beat the former world #1 and multiple Grand Slam champion. That wasn't luck. That wasn't Świątek having an off day. That was Eala making a statement that she belongs on the biggest stages in tennis. After Miami, she reached her first WTA Tour final at Eastbourne. These aren't small tournaments with weak fields. These are prestigious events where the best players in the world show up to compete. Eala went from relative obscurity to must-watch tennis in just a few months, and everyone in the sport took notice. Now here she is at the Australian Open, not just participating, but arriving with Alcaraz and Sinner like they're old friends. The optics of that moment are incredibly powerful. When tennis fans see those images, they immediately understand something. Eala isn't just another promising young player who might develop into something. She's someone the next generation of tennis legends already considers a peer. Let's talk about what training with players like Alcaraz and Sinner actually does for someone's development. When you practice with elite competition, you're forced to elevate every single aspect of your game. You can't hide weaknesses because they'll find them and exploit them ruthlessly. Your footwork has to be sharper. Your shot selection has to be smarter. Your serve has to be more reliable. Your mental toughness has to be stronger. Alcaraz is known for his incredible athleticism and aggressive baseline game. He hits the ball harder and moves better than almost anyone on tour. Practicing with him means Eala is experiencing the kind of pace and power she'll face when playing the absolute best players in the world. That's invaluable preparation that you simply can't replicate hitting with lower-ranked players. Sinner brings a completely different challenge. His game is built on consistency and the ability to redirect pace without losing control. He's one of the most difficult players to break down because he doesn't give you anything for free. Every ball comes back deep and heavy. Practicing against that style prepares Eala for those grinding, physical matches where you have to win through sheer persistence and quality rather than one big shot. Beyond the technical benefits, there's a massive psychological advantage to training with champions. When you're on the practice court every day with players who have won Grand Slams and reached #1 in the world, you start to internalize that level of expectation. You stop seeing the top of the sport as some distant, unreachable dream. You see it as something completely achievable because you're literally hitting balls across the net from people who've already done it. Eala's draw at the Australian Open gives her a legitimate opportunity to make noise. She lost in the first round of qualifying last year, which means she's defending almost no ranking points from Melbourne. Every match she wins this year will boost her ranking significantly. If she can string together a couple of wins, which is absolutely possible given her current form, she could crack the top 40 or even higher by the end of the tournament. Here's where things get really interesting from a rankings perspective. Eala's schedule for the next few months is set up perfectly for a major leap. She's only defending 390 points through March, which includes her massive run at Miami last year. But she'll be playing much bigger events this year with higher-ranked entry positions, which means more opportunities to collect significant points and replace the ones that drop off her ranking. If she maintains anything close to her current level, she could realistically be ranked inside the top 32 by the time Roland Garros comes around in June. That would make her a seeded player at a Grand Slam. For someone who was grinding ITF events just 12 months ago, that would be an absolutely ridiculous rise through the rankings. The Philippines is going completely crazy over Eala's success, and honestly, they should be. Tennis isn't a major sport there compared to basketball or boxing. The infrastructure for developing tennis players simply doesn't exist at the same level as other countries, but Eala is changing that entire narrative. Filipino fans traveled to Auckland to watch her play, and they'll be out in force in Melbourne doing the same thing. One of her recent opponents, Donna Vekic, even commented after their match about how impressive the Filipino support was, saying something like, "There's so many of you guys," in reference to the traveling fans. That kind of passionate fan base creates pressure, but Eala seems to handle it remarkably well for someone so young. She's talked in interviews about how her family keeps her grounded, how they built the foundation for her career, and how the family-oriented culture in the Philippines shapes her entire approach to success. After beating Vekic at the Kuyong Classic, which is a prestigious warm-up event in Melbourne, Eala said something that should absolutely terrify her future opponents. She said, "I want to say this is the best I've ever played. I think I'm in a good moment." That's not arrogance or overconfidence. That's someone who's put in the work, who's seeing the results, and who genuinely believes she belongs at this level. She beat Vekic twice in the span of about a week. First at the ASB Classic in Auckland in a brutal 3-set match, then again at Kooyong in straight sets. The improvement between those two matches shows how quickly Eala is learning and adapting. That's the mark of an elite competitor. Someone who can make adjustments between matches and come back even better the second time around.
Now, let's address something that some skeptics might be thinking. Some people will say that showing up with Alcaraz and Sinner is just good PR, that it's a photo opportunity that doesn't actually mean anything for her tennis. Those people are completely wrong. Professional athletes at this level don't waste their time on publicity stunts during Grand Slam preparation. If Alcaraz and Sinner are spending time with Eala, it's because they see real value in practicing with her. It's because they respect her game enough to believe she can help them prepare for their own matches. The tennis world at the elite level is incredibly small. Everyone knows everyone. Reputations spread fast. If you're not good enough, or if you don't have the right mentality and work ethic, the top players won't want to practice with you. They'll find someone else. The fact that Eala has integrated into those circles speaks volumes about how she's viewed by her peers and by the coaching staffs that manage those practice sessions. There's also a very practical element to this relationship. During Grand Slams, players need consistent, high-quality practice between their matches to stay sharp. Having someone like Eala available as a practice partner, someone who's in great form, who can replicate different playing styles, who won't take it easy just because you're a bigger name, that makes her incredibly valuable to players like Alcaraz and Sinner. This arrangement benefits everyone involved. Alcaraz and Sinner get a hungry, talented practice partner who's going to push them and give them quality work. Eala gets absolutely invaluable experience hitting with the best players in the world and learning from their approach to Grand Slam preparation, their routines, their mentality. It's mutually beneficial in a way that only happens when all parties involved are bringing something real to the table. Looking ahead at Eala's schedule, she's got opportunities stacked up everywhere. After the Australian Open, she'll play events in the Middle East and then head into the North American swing. If she can string together consistent results, not even winning tournaments necessarily, just reaching quarterfinals and semifinals regularly, her ranking is going to absolutely skyrocket. Some people are comparing her rise to Emma Raducanu's meteoric breakthrough, but that comparison isn't quite accurate. Raducanu won the US Open as a qualifier in one of the most shocking Grand Slam victories in history, and then struggled massively with injuries and the weight of expectations. Eala's rise is more sustainable because it's built on steady improvement across multiple tournaments rather than one magical 2-week run. She's climbing the ladder methodically, gaining experience and confidence at each level before moving up to the next one. Her training setup at the Nadal Academy gives her access to world-class facilities, coaching, fitness staff, and mental conditioning. She's mentioned in interviews that Nadal himself has given her tips during practice sessions when he's been at the facility. When one of the greatest players in tennis history takes time out of his schedule to share knowledge with you, that's going to accelerate your development in ways that are hard to quantify. The technical aspects of Eala's game are solid across the board. She doesn't have one glaring weakness that opponents can consistently exploit. Her serve is improving and becoming more of a weapon. Her ground strokes are powerful and consistent from both wings. Her movement around the court is excellent, and her mental game, which is arguably the most important factor in tennis success, seems remarkably mature for someone who's only 20 years old. What makes Eala particularly dangerous is her fearlessness on big points. She doesn't shrink when the pressure is highest. She doesn't get overwhelmed by the moment or the occasion. When she played Świątek in Miami, she didn't approach it like someone who was just happy to be on the same court as a champion. She played to win, went for her shots when it mattered, and executed when it counted. That mentality is genuinely rare.
Plenty of talented players with good technique and athleticism completely crumble under pressure or play way too conservatively when facing higher-ranked opponents. Eala goes for her shots. She trusts her game. She competes with the kind of intensity and belief that makes coaches and fans immediately take notice. The Australian Open is going to be a massive test for her. The conditions in Melbourne are brutal. It gets incredibly hot. The matches are physical and demanding, and the tournament favors players who are in absolute peak shape, both physically and mentally. Eala checks both of those boxes right now. Her recent results show she's physically ready to compete at this level. Her performances under pressure show she's mentally ready to handle whatever gets thrown at her. So Alex Eala isn't just attending the Australian Open, she's arriving as a legitimate force in women's tennis with the backing and respect of champions. The girl from the Philippines is making history, and we're all watching it happen in real time. If you want more coverage of tennis's rising stars, hit that like button and subscribe because this story is just getting started.